Abraham a son. This is how true God's promises are. That God promises Abraham a son in his old age. His wife Sarai could not have children. At that time her name was Sarai, later on Sarah. She could not have children. But yet God still gave Abraham a promise. Come on, somebody. And so Abraham had to go on the journey, and Abraham had to endure the test of time in order to see God's promise fulfilled within his life. But in the very end, God was faithful to what he told Abraham. Why? Because his promises are sure. They're everlasting. There's no time limit on God's promises. We have time limits, right? We put the popcorn in the microwave. In 1 minute, we're like, oh my God, this is too long. 1 minute? I told my kids, I remember making popcorn in a pan with oil. Come on, somebody. You put a plate on and shake it. They're like, Dad, tell us the old stories. But God's promises, they can last the test of time. They're enduring. They're going to come to pass. Can somebody say amen? Be strong. Hold on to the promise. Don't allow anything to persuade you, or don't allow anything to allow you to second guess what God said he was going to do. Don't allow anything to persuade you or get you to second guess what God said. Well, I think God said that. No, because when God said it, you were all excited. You were crying. Time passed, we're like, I think he said that. I don't remember. Don't let anything get you sidetracked from the promise of God. I remember being in the men's home in 1996. I know some of you weren't even alive yet. Bear with me. 1996, I remember being in the men's home. And I remember being there and God giving me promises in the men's home. I'm like, really, God? I'm going to preach the word across the world. Really? I'm cutting grass right now. I'll wash you 45 other men's clothes right now. What do you mean we're going to... Come on, somebody. In 1996. I remember one time the Lord gave me a vision when I was in the home and I was preaching the gospel. I was preaching, man, on fire. And I was preaching the gospel. I was on this big stage. Come on, how many know it's okay to dream big, right? Amen. If you're going to get a vision from God, you might as well get a big one.
Amen.
That's right. You might as well get a big promise. On this big little stage, big promise, you might as well get one. If I didn't get a big promise, it'd be like I was preaching on this little stage. You guys still don't laugh. My God. Have some coffee next time for me. So I'm preaching on this big stage, man, and preaching the word. I make an altar call, and all these people come up. Come on. And that was a promise that the Lord gave me. And then in 1999, 96, 99. In 1999, I'm in the city of Chicago. In 1996, 1999, I'm in the city of Chicago, and I'm preaching the word, man. Boom! And we're at a big old rally, and I'm preaching. And all these people came up, and then I stood back, and the Lord said, remember the promise. I gave you a promise in 1996. It took 3 years, but here you are in the promise. You know what? It's good to get promises like that and then see God fulfill them within 2 or 3 years. This was something that I like to think about, is I believe God did that because God was going to release a lot of promises into my life. He was going to release a lot of promises into my life, and He wanted me to know that He was going to be faithful to complete those promises. Can somebody say amen? I remember when we were in Betty We got a bus right back here. Why? Because God is faithful.